welcome to Unhacked. I'm Robert Lubin, the Director of the Security Operations Center at Abacode Cybersecurity and Compliance. We'll be here on Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Time to take you through a cyber topic of the week. You can apply to your own security and your compliance framework. Okay, so today, first topic, we're gonna talk about some ransomware, commonly known as Ryuk. So Ryuk was first observed back in a while, all the way back in mid-2018. It made some major headlines in December of that year when it infiltrated Tribune Publishing, essentially crippling their newspaper distribution nationwide. So Ryuk is what we would call a big game hunter. It targets large enterprises, government institutions, healthcare providers. And why do we call it a big game hunter? Really, they're looking for exceptionally large ransoms, also with high likelihoods of payoffs. Okay, so how does it work? Well, generally, Ryuk's initial delivery mechanism is going to come by way of a malicious document or a maldoc delivered via phishing email. So these emails are going to include a wide range of subjects that could be anything from like unpaid invoices, tax forms, payroll documentation, even things about parcel shipments, among many other subjects. Something else that we see also with these emails is oftentimes they'll utilize current events to kind of piggyback on a theme of an email. For instance, right now you might see some things on COVID-related topics, right? Maybe like the CARES Act or PPP. Sorry. The email from address could also be generic, but it could also be tailored in more of a spearfish. What they'll often do is they'll take advantage of errors or lack of configuration in some email security protocols, such as SPF, DKIM, and DMARC, in order to spoof or impersonate employees of the organization. And it could be employees within your organization or even partners, business partners, other companies that you work with. So they could also use accounts that are already compromised from within your organization, or again from some of those providers or business partners that you deal with on a regular basis, and really tailor those emails, really more of a spearfish as opposed to a generic fish. Okay. Now, as far as the malicious document with the email, that could either be attached directly to the email, but what we see more often now is that it's not attached to the email. Rather, there's a hyperlink embedded with the email. And when the user clicks on the hyperlink, it's going to actually retrieve that document from a web server that is under control by the malicious actor. Okay, so taking you through the scenario, the user receives the email, they fall for it, they, let's say in this instance, click the hyperlink, it retrieves that malicious document from that rogue malicious server, and then at that point, if the user enables content, then an Office macro embedded in the document is going to be executed, and it's going to retrieve the actual payload, initial payload. And generally what we see with that is a Trojan dropper is going to be dumped onto the victim's computer. Generally, that's going to be something like a Trojan, something like a Motet, TrickBot, combination of the two, maybe something like a YourSniff. But with this initial infection, essentially the hacker is going to look for opportunities to escalate privilege. They're trying to move laterally. If they're able to get that admin account, they're going to start doing things like disabling backup processes, turning off antivirus, and really they're looking to spread and infect other computers on the network with particular attention to, they're really trying to get a lot of those servers that are critical. They're looking, we're talking file servers and domain controllers. right? really they're looking to get as much of a foothold on the network as possible. Sometimes they could be rooting around in your network anywhere from, it could be hours all the way through months, right? They're really trying to get as much of a foothold as possible to make it, to kind of compel the victim to pay the ransom. All right, so as they're rooting around, you might also see some other modules retrieved to help them facilitate this spread through the network with tools. You may see something like a PowerShell Empire, PSExec, Mimikatz, just to kind of name a few. Once the hacker is kind of satisfied that they've got as much of the network as they can get, that's actually when the actual ransomware payload is retrieved, thus encrypting all your files. So what are some things that we can do to kind of mitigate the risk of falling victim to something like a Ryuk? Well, one thing is you certainly want to provide your staff with cybersecurity awareness training, really giving them opportunities to learn about how to detect some of these malicious emails, right? The users within an organization, they're always going to be targeted. They're really the low-hanging fruit. They are going to be the weak link. All right. Another thing you might consider implementing is a group policy or a GPO that would disable macros on all your computers. Now that kind of depends on the organization. That might not be feasible. It really kind of depends on your workflows and what that would, disabling macros would do to your business processes. So you may or may not be able to implement that. Another thing that's critical is you need a properly documented and tested, and I stress tested, backup and restore plan that you're ready to roll to in the event of an incident. Okay, but certainly that it's not good enough just to have that plan in place. You also really have to vet that plan by testing it and really testing it multiple times. Patch operating systems and applications regularly, making sure the security patches are deployed really as they become available, and you really want to have a formal patch management program in place. Another thing that's key to really helps mitigate the spread of these ransomwares and kind of minimize that footprint that they're able to really grab is to have proper network segmentation in place, right? That's really going to help in mitigating the spread of malware through your network, that lateral movement. Okay. Another thing you want to look at, and we kind of talked about it earlier, are the properly implementing your email security protocols like SPF, DKM, and DMARC. One of the things we see a lot with organizations is they'll have them in place, but like for instance with, let's say, DMARC, they'll have that DMARC DNS record in place, but they won't have a policy to do anything if DMARC fails. So not just that these policies are in place, but they're configured properly. Okay, and then the last thing I would recommend is you really want to have a SIM tool for your log aggregation, right? You want all those logs aggregated, single pane of glass with quality correlation rules in place, quality correlation rules and threat intelligence that really is going to evolve with the current threat landscape as the malicious actors start pivoting and modifying their techniques. You really want to be dynamic on your end as well, that you could really pivot to where the current threat is. All right, and then really you want to have your SIM platform managed and monitored by quality cybersecurity professionals. That's key. Someone who knows what they're looking at is and what they're doing. You really want them in place. Okay, so in closing, I would like to thank you for joining me. I'll be here Thursdays at 4 o'clock Eastern, where we'll talk through another topic of the week. If you're unable to make it, no worries. It's not going to insult me, but you could always catch it on Abacode. It'll be posted on abacode.com. You could always follow us on Facebook and Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you could stay up to date with the latest cybersecurity breaches. I'm Robert Lubin. Oh, sorry, there's a question mark in there. I'll have to remove that. I'm Robert Lubin, Director of the Security Operations Center at Abacode. So thank you for joining us at Unhacked. Take care.